It's one of the most iconic circuits on the Formula One calendar. It takes 6 weeks to build and 3 weeks to pull apart. But here in the Aussie Racing League, we're going to try and do it in one race session. Hello and welcome to round 4 of the championship of season 6. The inaugural race was run in 1929 and taken out by a Bugatti. Which manufacturer will do it here today? Let's take a look at the circuit layout. 3.3 kilometres in length, 19 turns, no straights to speak of, really. One DRS zone and plenty of concrete.
G'day everybody, it's time for day 2 of Monaco week, the ultimate bust-up week, as some people are predicting. Didn't quite see as many crashes in last night's race as I'm sure a lot of people were expecting. I think we had 5 DNFs over the whole night, but regardless, that's in the past. Tonight, it's time for Novice. My name is Nick, and tonight I'm joined by Werreboy. Say hello, how are you tonight?
I'm all right. I'm looking forward to Monaco. I think it's going to be very fun to watch qualifying and very fun to see what happens in the race. It's going to be unpredictable.
Oh, I think so too as well. It's plenty to unpack with this championship as well. Plenty to change, of course. We are only 3 races in out of 12. A quarter of the way through the season. By the end of tonight, we'll be a third of the way through. Right now, as we hear the ticking in our ears of the lobby starting, Red Bull have the Constructors' Championship lead by a decent margin already. But weirdly, you could say, both drivers are currently 4th and 5th in the points. Again, SV and Stormlight, both of them have missed races so far this season. So you could say their championship position isn't truly indicative of their form. But and unfortunately, it looks like we have a no-show from Stormlight again this week, unfortunately. Second time in the season. He did get disqualified as well post-race after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, which is unfortunate to see. But regardless, he's currently in 5th. SV, of course, he's now up into 4th after taking a victory last week. And we look to see him up there at the front as well. I got to say, my 2 favourites, if I were to pick 2, would be SV and Nico around this track. I feel like they would both gel with it. But again, we're about to find out. What do you say, Weru?
Well, what I will say is that I'm in a Red Bull at the moment. I didn't have a chance to select spectator mode before the lobby started. So I'm in a Red Bull.
Oh yeah, we see you
I am sorting that out.
Now. Okay, well, let's shake things up a bit.
I think I'm in Stormlad's seat.
Yeah, it looks like you are, yeah. Does that mean we can get ourselves we'll get ourselves a live correspondence from our commentator?
Yeah, I'll just drive out on track and report back what I see.
Exactly.
I think if Stormlad doesn't show up, if we have 19 drivers, it should be fine. Yeah. I'll just stay in the pits, and then when the race starts, I'll retire.
Hopefully we get lucky, yeah. Now, first takers coming out of the pits now. It looks like the first car to go out was Windows in the... get your words right, Nick. Pass, that's the one. Of course, yeah, he's we've seen shades of strong performances from him over the last, especially last week. We'll see if he jumps into this one again. If you want to make a good impression, this is the track to do it. It's a car killer, so if you can have yourself up the front, even keep your nose clean, you can often get yourself a good result. Well, we have SV, of course, one of our hot tickets for tonight. He's jumped out as well. He's 3rd on track. Again, just want to sort of size yourself up. See him like he's trying to just give himself a bit of a gap to get some clean air before he starts pushing it. But yeah, qualifying is always a spectacle in this track. It's of course where almost all the money is made in this event. So little room to overtake. The track's barely 2 car widths wide at the best of places, and even into heavy braking zones like Raskas, like here. You see, there you go. There's Werreboy. He's checked out.
Yep. Just retiring from the session. If my car does raise issues, we'll see what can be done about that. But for now, we're going ahead as intended. Thankfully, my car's not going to drop anyone on a hot lap. I think at the moment, Windows is starting the lap. He's going to be the first of the drivers of the night to kick us off for qualifying. Qualifying is, as we know, very important here at Monaco because it's very difficult to overtake. So in many ways, qualifying is the race because you don't really gain or lose many positions even at the start. So Windows seems to be on a tidy lap, not throwing the car around too much, not putting too much risk out there. Of course, you just want to set a banker, something to place you on the leaderboards, and then after that you can start taking risks with the second and third sets of tires. It's had a pretty good chicane, mounted the curbs, which you can do with these cars, and I think this next session should be flat out. I think it was. Bounced slightly over the curb and got a bit squirrely, but coming round the Leclerc corner, as it's called in the FIA briefing, I think he's gonna come home and set a very tidy lap to take provisional P1.
Here we go. 11.9. Not a bad start, I've got to say. That's certainly far better than I can do. Who's we see Nameless guy comes through for a 13.1. I'm looking at the wrong car. Looks like we're going to see SV come across the line now. What's he going to do? His first flyer. A 1:14.3, but it looks like that lap didn't count. May have been invalidated somewhere. So,
I think he was just starting a lap there because his battery is full. And I'll tell you what though, SV's time trial times are something to be very, very interested in because he's rivaling Elite. I think his time trial time is a 9.8. So I expect big things from him today. He's gotten a lot quicker in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, certainly looking like it. Not that he really needed to go any quicker anyway. He's already picked it up. So we'll see what he kicks off with when he gets his first lap. And Snoop jumps in with an 11.4. That's a great start for him as well.
Yeah, well done.
As his nickname suggests. That's what we tend to give him. My harsh critics in the commentary box, aren't we? But what would you say around this circuit in general? What would you say is the most tricky bit to get right? Because this track is full of tricky spots, but and full of places that can catch you out. But at least for you specifically, as a league racer, what part do you feel is the most a bit that you sort of, even after you've done a million laps around this place, which part do you still feel the most tentative going through?
Sector 3 is one that I fear every time I take it because you can get Sector 1 down. Sector 1's not too tricky. It's just a Nouvelle chicane and then the left hander. And then Sector 2 is the tunnel and the hairpin, which are pretty much straightforward. But then Sector 3 is where most of the risk is because that's where your lap can get thrown away. We've seen how many cars in real life crash at the swimming pool chicane just by touching the wall a tiny bit and breaking the suspension. So I think Sector 3 is the trickiest part for me, especially since the last two corners. It's just so easy to lock up, even if the track's uphill. So if you can hook together the first two sectors, you're not out of the woods yet, because the third sector is the one that gets you. I think a lot of the drivers will be feeling the same thing here.
Absolutely, especially since it's got all the quickest corners and they all come almost like straight one after the other. You don't get a break in between them, do you? So
no.
Can certainly catch you out. Let's have a look now. It looks like most of the cars are currently just in there, just pitting right now, tucking on their fresh set of tyres, as you would at this point in the session. Roughly a third of the way through. So right now, it looks like as we stand, we have Snoop on provisional pole with an 11.4, SV 2/10 behind, and then Windows another 3/10 behind him. So field spread, it's noticeable, but it's nothing extreme. And of course, this only counts one attempt at a flying lap, you would mostly say. So a lot of these people probably aren't showing the pace that they've actually got, whether it be sandbagging or mistakes. So yeah, still very.
Yeah.
See what we'll see. Yeah.
Rebler's just invalidated the chicane there, so he was on a good lap. Unfortunately, he just clipped the curb a bit too much and cut the chicane. And the interesting thing to note from the briefing, though, is that if you cut the chicane in the race, you have to come to a complete stop. I was reading the briefing once again, so if any drivers in the race happen to cut the chicane, have a collision or whatever, if you have to skip that corner, you have to stop before continuing on. And that's something that is going to be very tricky. A lot of drivers probably won't remember, and if Eagle-eyed Basing is watching, then he's going to pick up on those and chuck them to the FIA.
Yeah, I think so. You've got to have your wits about you in this, especially with with a rule like that, absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, trying to keep all the racing very professional and clean. This track definitely puts it to the test. Although I say that in last night's Academy race, we didn't really see that many collisions, did we? It was all fairly not relaxed, that's not the right word, but very gentlemanly.
Yeah, I think everyone knows that they just want to make it to the end. No one's wanting to send it or take a massive risk like you would at a different track like Silverstone or maybe Monza, where there's room for error. But here at Monaco, there's literally no room for error. Because if you mess up, you're in the wall, you're in someone's diffuser, you're just gone. So I think we're going to see a lot of cars. If faster drivers get held up behind slower drivers, it's not going to be much overtaking. It's just going to be waiting to force the car ahead into an error and maybe overtaking if they get stuck in a wall or have to cut the chicane or whatever. So it's going to be fun to watch. I really don't know what to expect at the moment. Pole is an 11.4 from Snoopaloop, who he said he wasn't feeling too confident before the race. I was chatting with him in the Ferrari box, and he said he wasn't feeling confident. He wasn't gonna raise his hopes up for the race, but I mean, he's got an 11.4. He's got provisional pole, which is amazing at Monaco. So we'll see how that evolves later on.
Exactly, it's looking like a bit of a fake out at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, his teammate though. Why would he fake me out? Come on, Snoop.
There you go. He's eyeing up that that prodigy seat next season even.
I think at the moment he's 15th in the championship, but he's going to be in the running for a season prodigy next season if he keeps up the form I know he has it in him. Because last season in Academy, he pushed all the way to the end and almost won the title. So he's got it in him. He can easily make it into a prodigy.
Yeah, absolutely. He shows signs of it, doesn't he? In the championship battle we saw him having last season. So we'll see what he can do. Of course, right now he's showing great pace. Say that Panache jumps in just roughly half a tenth quick. So yeah, all those tiny little margins. If this is any track to bring out the most of tiny margins, this is the one to do it in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One thing I forgot to mention is that today is Mr. HK's birthday. So
Real?
HK, head of broadcasting at ARL, it's his birthday today. So he's driving Monaco on his birthday, which is, if anything, not a gift. But yeah, happy birthday to HK.
Absolutely, happy birthday, mate. Absolute king. Come on now. He's coming now. Having to back off on this lap, I'm either catching up to traffic or just sizing up his next run. Goodness knows.
I think he's just waiting to get a lap going. Oh no, he's boxing, so maybe he might have just been feeling the track and seeing if he is comfortable in the car. We'll try and look for someone on a lap. I think Cross Dog's on a lap.
It was that. That looks like that was Hawk Trout coming out of the casino section, absolutely sending it full sideways as he was going past both the McLarens on there, who were both slowing down. Very good catch again. That part of the track can always be fairly tricky. Who's that? He's got it. Is that Reblitz?
It's Mr. Reblitz. If you follow along with Cross Dog, you might be able to just catch a glimpse of Reblitz's corpse there on the side.
On that exact section I was just mentioning. Of course, you have to you exit the corner by taking a sweeping line, ending up on the left-hand side of the track. Then you have to turn to the right to get over that hump, and it looks like managing the throttle there has caught somebody out for the first time in this session, unfortunately.
I think it's worth noting that Reblitz is not running traction control, so a lot of the drivers in the division are running traction control. I think Bevo, Hawk Trio, and Reblitz are the three drivers in the division, and SV as well, and Snoop. So I think those 5 drivers are the only ones who don't run traction control, so they're gonna have a bit more of a challenge getting around the track today during the race.
Absolutely, yeah, to be in that position. So, again, yeah, different challenge. Again, that throttle management is so key around here. Especially, I mean, there aren't that many sections where you're touching curbs while on the throttle, but regardless, it's a bumpy surface. You don't really want to have tire slipping when you're trying to put down 1,000 horsepower through 2 little wheels. Well, I say little, they're pretty big, but again, only 2 wheels.
Yeah, it's tricky because you think you have grip, and then a bump just throws the rear up into the sky, and you lose all of the traction you tried to find. Especially out of I forgot the turn number. I should probably get up the track map. But yeah, there's a lot of sections where you think you have grip, and then you run over a bump and you lose it all. So it's tricky, even with the maximum downforce, maximum, full grip setup. It's still difficult to get a grip around the track.
I like what you
Yeah, you noticed.
Yes. That's just that looks like Hawk Trio's just jumped up into P2 with an 11.3. So here we go. We're starting to see a few more people come in with what looks like their true pace. Hawk Trio and Panache being among them. And again, it's looking fairly close. I mean, SV has a provisional pole by roughly half a second now, which is looking fairly comfortable for him. Would it be safe to say it's one of those fears that everybody else in the field may have, that if he has pole and then grabs the whole shot out of turn 1, that he could just check out the front?
Yeah, I think he can if he gets it together. Of course, SV is a formidable. Sorry, my tongue's just gotten twisted. SV, Hawk Trio, Panache, and Snoop are 4 very good drivers. So if they can get close together, I think we might be in for a good race. Seeing who can force the other into an error, seeing who can exploit any mistakes, and it's going to be fun to watch.
So absolutely. We've still got one more driver who we haven't seen set a lap. I was about to say 2, but the other is Wery himself. So, but yeah, Manton we still haven't seen set a lap yet. But it looks like I need to sneeze. Sorry.
No problem. Let me just check. I think no, he doesn't have a qualifying ban, so he's just not set a lap yet.
Oh, and this
I think in this week. Yes, probably. I think Philly is the only one with a quali ban, but Philly hasn't showed up today, unfortunately.
Yeah, unlucky to see. He's another one of those drivers who's shown great pace, showed great form last season. Yeah, we're hoping to see him jump up in this one, but looks like we don't see him again tonight. Menefkin's going to have another go at it. This lap got invalidated through the Novice chicane. Again, easily done. Certainly a chicane that I lament the existence of in most days, so... nothing against anyone for cutting that corner.
Yeah.
Well, one driver I also want to look out for who's showing great pace this season is Crosso-Dog. He's currently in P10 on and out lap. He'll be gunning for his last shot at a proper flyer this time round. But yeah, we've seen him battling up for podiums as well during this season and last season. And not quite there at the minutes. Look at that. Trenny S jumps in with an 11.1. That's going to double up the amount of Mercedes we have up on the front 2 rows, which is a good thing to see for them. So looks like SV not short of company up there at the front.
But he has a huge gap to the rest of the field. A 10.8 is absolutely great time for this division. I think that would put him towards the top in the division above as well in Prodigy. So that's a time that he needs to be very proud with. I think it's going to be difficult for the other drivers to try and catch him, but we'll see what happens as the track rubbers in, as they get the fresh tires out, and as they get into full Ayrton Senna mode. We'll see what they can provide us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look now. Crosso-Dog setting off on another flying lap. I want to have a look on board and see what he's looking like around this place. Again, I love this long left-hander. It's one of those ones where you kind of need to wait for the apex. You can't just drive in and go along the curb on the way in. You'll lose all your pace on the way out.
Yeah.
First split, he's half a tenth down on his personal best. Again, going nice and wide through the hairpin, carry the speed, make up for the extra long steering length that the cars are going around this circuit. In real life, I don't know if they do the same thing for the game. And through the tunnel, fantastic corner that, then into the Novice chicane. Looks to the left and the right, very nicely, gets very close to the wall again, keeping the steering open and the throttle on. Through the back, another fantastic sequence of corners right here, through the second split. Or did I completely miss that? I did, I was too busy looking, I didn't see what his split time was.
He's been on a tidy lap, but there have been a few lockups in a few places. Of course, it's hard to tell with the spectator bug what is actually a lockup and what isn't, but we'll see where he goes. He improves by 0.3, goes into P10. Behind him, we're going to have Manifin, who sets at 12.1, moves him up to P12. Behind, I think, Robbie is going to be finishing a lap. They're going to come across the line in P7, doesn't improve. So it's looking like he might just have to be satisfied with P7 unless the drivers behind can improve. I think SV is crossing the line now. How much can he improve by? He hasn't improved, so he's going to be on a 10.8. And I think I don't want to call it too soon, but I think SV is probably locked in pole with that 10.8.
It's starting to look like it, isn't it? He's just set off in his last flying lap, so we're looking to see if he can better that even more. Looks like, did he just tap the wall there coming out of the casino corner? He might have just avoided it. We've also got Hawk Trio just behind, a couple corners back. He's on his last flying lap as well, so he'll be gunning for a proper quick time as well. This track's getting very, very busy as we head into the final stages of the session. Across the line, Nico, did he improve? I'm not sure. He's going to have one last go, it looks like. Likewise for pretty much everybody out here, including Snoop. We'll have a quick look at SV now, as we see him complete his last flyer. Robbie as well in P8, he's half a tenth down. Oh, he's just spun around coming out of Leclerc corner.
Leclerc corner. Hopefully that doesn't impede any other drivers. If you can get out of the way before SV arrives, SV's going to come and see a sideways McLaren. Thankfully, he just makes it into the pits, but SV is just slipping and sliding around the parade lap, celebrating the pole position before the actual pole position happens. But I think he's going to have locked in pole. We'll see what Hawk Trio does, and Validated goes into the pits.
There you go. So we've got Snoop. He's up by 100th on his personal best, so that won't challenge for pole. Maybe P5 as well. And Nico is up by half a second though, so I want to have to keep looking at him as he goes through this last sector. It's got Snoop right in front of him, acting as a bit of a guide. Actually, no, Snoop lets him go, so Snoop sacrifices his next best. Coming onto the straight now, what are we going to see from Nico? Up by half a second through the second sector, and he grabs P2.
P2?
Right at the death. An 11 flat, so he'll be pretty happy with that.
Well done. I think Snoop just clattered the barriers at the infamous chicane there in Sector 3 and broke his wing and lost a bunch of times. So that's why he got out of the way to let Nico through, and Nico is going to be happy with that. 11.0 front row.
There you go. That's a pretty good time from those two. Again, far better than I could ever achieve on this game. But yeah, again, great to see you guys. So not to brag, but my top two picks are currently top two on the grid.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's surprising to see SV up there, considering the pace he's seemed to have grown out of nowhere.
Absolutely. And Kenna, so quick around here, getting all those tiny little margins millimeter perfect all the way around the track. It's a great thing to see. Now we get to see if he can do it 39 times in a row. Let's see if he can do it.
I think Taz has just said in the chat that I should be demoted to Academy because I'm last place in Novice. I'm very happy to be 18th because it means I can stay out of everyone's way on the race start. So
absolutely.
The race will start. I'll see what carnage I can watch from my cockpit, and then I'll retire on track. So hopefully I'll be out of the way before anyone comes around the corner. Maybe I'll just do it in the pits. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching and being in the race. That's the kind of coverage you don't get anywhere else.
Exactly.
We have commentators in the race.
Oh, no,
I should be charging, honestly.
Honestly, yeah, exactly. I don't understand why this isn't a regular thing. Did it with Apex on an F2 stream once. That was great fun.
Yeah, driving and commentating is something that HK's done as well. I'll give you some weather updates since I can see everything. There's no rain expected.
Thank you. Actually, again, this is why this is a great idea.
Great idea. Yeah. No rain expected. Guess what? It's nighttime for the entire race. It's looking like medium hard is the fastest strategy, and then soft, medium is the next fastest strategy. But I suspect some drivers will be going soft, medium, soft, hard, medium, hard, soft. So these don't really end up meaning anything at the end of the day.
Yep, you never know how many pit stops we could have in this race. How many trips the safety car does around this track. Typically, of course, what we all expect is that the Aston Martin will have a few more Ks on its Odo than it usually does. Anyway, the lights are coming on. And they're away as the predicted pit stop strategy that comes up on the screen. Looks like a fantastic start from Nico. He's going to jump SV going around the outside and have the lead into turn one. Fantastic start from him. As we have a pile up in the background. What's happened there? Let's go.
No! I wish you could see what I'm seeing. The entire field is stuck. I'm driving through everyone. This is actually hilarious. I am P9 and I'm commentating.
Oh no. Oh, was that was that Hawk trio who collided with either collided or spun on his own and it's just taken out the entire field behind them? Nico and SV don't know what they've missed. HK has jumped up from P12 to P3, bear in mind no front wing, but it looks like nobody else has a front wing either. Windows in 4th, Panache in 5th. Old mate James in 6th. Xander in 7th, looks like he has no damage, or maybe just a tinty-winty bit. And then in 8th we have Robbie, and of course 9th we have yourself, who's climbed up halfway through the field already, just after half a lap.
I am actually a god at this game. I'm playing on controller, and I've gone up to P9. I have a 5-second penalty. I'm not entirely sure where I got that from.
Yeah, sandbagging and qualling, mate. Oh, you got another one. Well,
Got another one for cutting the chicane, but that's okay.
oh, you didn't come.
Robbie has clattered the wall. Robbie has just died in front of me.
Go into the wall at Tabac?
Yep, I had nothing to do with that, but he's just hit the wall in front of me.
Oh no, this is already. Oh, this is not the clean form that we're hoping to see. We've got 6 DNFs up by the end of the first lap and a full safety car out on track. Safety car's actually setting a pretty decent outlap. He's already at the. He's waiting for everybody at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I'd just love to stay out. I'd love to just drive.
Oh mate, you'd think it, wouldn't you? But Flukesy makes a very good point in chat. So many ghosted cars overtook people then, yeah. How does that tend to be regulated in this series? Because you figure it's just something that's hard to avoid in a situation like that.
Yeah, I wish I could stream so I could show you what's going on, because I am somehow 12th in an 18th car race and I've retired on lap 1. So I think that says a lot about the kind of start we just had. I'm monitoring the chat to see what happens with the red flag. Yes, everyone was ghosted and stopped in the middle of the track. It was quite a sight to behold, I'll be honest. Thankfully I was recording, so you guys will get to see that later on in the Discord, but let me just scroll. I don't think I've ever seen a safety car at Monaco. This is genuinely the first time I've seen a safety car at Monaco, so no, because usually I think it's in the games that the criteria for safety car is a lot harder than other tracks, so lap 1 safety car at Monaco, I've never seen this before. I think Salty might have just left.
I think they have a host migration.
Yes, so that's going to cause a bunch of desync.
Oh dear, well that'll be fun. I mean, at least we've got a fair bit of space between most of our cars. We'll try to collect ourselves after what just happened. Actually, I'm having a look now. Does Nico have front wing damage, or am I thinking he does? He's missing an end plate on the right hand side. So again, he won't be the only car out there with some battle scars. Now let's have a look at our movers and shakers, if you want to call them that at the minute. Xander up 13 positions after lap 1. Fantastic start. As well for Man of Tin as well. He's up from 14th to 4th. Snoop and HK have both had very decent starts as well. Windows and Panache, of course, they both had to pit for broken front wings, so they find themselves in 7th and 8th. Old mate James, in fact, well, everybody else has had to as well. They're all working their way around. Has Bevo broken his front wing out of turn 1? I believe he has. He's so
yes.
He may have to take another trip to the pits. Unfortunately, Reblet's sitting in tow behind him as well. So, yeah, already the FIA's got a busy session ahead of them. And what's interesting, what's going to be interesting to see now is if you can keep it together, you're almost guaranteed to score points.
Yes, that's pretty much guaranteed. Having 11 drivers takes the pressure off fighting for points, because actually I think Bevo is running without a wing at the moment. Absolutely no front wings.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as I said before, I think he went into the wall at turn 1 just on this lap. As I see Nico's come in, he's going to fix his front wing, get that replenished. Seems like probably not a bad idea, mitigate that risk of trying to send it around this circuit with an end plate missing on the right hand side. Sure, we'll dump him back down into P9, as it looks like it'll stay at the minute. But again, it's even around this track, it's more so worth, I'd say, trying to climb your way back through the pack rather than trying to risk doing 36 laps of this place with front wing damage. And it just wouldn't be anywhere near as fun, would it? Honestly.
No. I'll tell you what, yesterday I was in the Ferrari team box with Skipper, who's a Ferrari driver in Academy, and Snoop's just drifting around the chicane.
I saw
The
that.
hairpin, sorry.
A bit of fun.
Yeah, but Skipper was really not happy with just how, the race was going. He was in a good position, he was in P3, but the fact that he had damage and he was just, really, really trying to just keep the car on the road. It's really difficult because once you get damage once, the car just becomes uncontrollable. It's so hard to keep it on the road. So yeah, I understand the need to pit, especially now that there's only 11 drivers. Safety cars in this lap. Michael Massey has declared the safety cars in this lap.
He sure has.
I don't think it's going to be a very difficult restart to handle for SV, since all he has to do is keep the car under control for 300 meters down the main straight in Monaco, and then he'll basically keep P1 for the rest of the lap. But Bevo, unfortunately, is not going to have a chance to join the back as we go racing again. I don't think SV is going to be under threat of attack, but at the back, everyone's kept it clean, unlike the first standing start. Windows is putting HK under pressure at the moment, but HK is going to make that Ferrari super, super wide into turn 3, but luckily there's no collision. HK, I'm not sure if HK is carrying any damage, but he's parking that car in the middle of the track and not letting Windows through, because once he loses a position, it's going to be very difficult to get it back. And of course, I think it's worth mentioning that since HK is... Whoa! Holy moly! Xander has just spun. That looked like a desync to me, but...
He's lucky to stay in the race, though. He's got no front wing, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Track claims another victim. That's just the sort of crash you never see around this place. What have we seen here? The Novice chicane.
HK. Jesus. What is going on here?
We've got HK in the wall. We've got Xander as well. He's got parked in the middle of the chicane as well. Completely missed that. I was looking back. So we've got HK with no front wing now. Panache with a time penalty.
Yeah, there was a huge crash. I'm not sure what happened, and HK is unfortunately just gone into the wall after losing his entire front wing. So HK is unfortunately out of the race. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, if I'm honest. There were a few collisions and everyone just piled up after Xander spun. It's pretty hard to figure out what just happened, but I'll try and get some answers.
Look at that. Windows just saved a massive slide coming through turn 3.
Well done.
He did an amazing jump to catch that, actually. Yeah. But what have we seen as well? As we've seen another yellow flag. Looks like Bevo's gone into the wall again and broken his front wing. This truck not agreeing with him. It's not agreeing with most. He's just come out with a fresh front wing. Meanwhile, let's chuck up at the front. SV has got himself a 3.5 second lead or thereabouts. Winding off laps at the minute. Man of Tin's got a decent gap now. He's in P2s. We've got another yellow flag in Sector 1. Is that Xander? It is. He has spun at turn 2. Is it turn 2 or 3? Do any of those kinks at the exit of turn 1 count as a corner? I've never known.
I think only one of them counts as a corner. I think technically the long left-hander that you really like is turn 3. So, yes. Xander is definitely going to have some bodywork damage, either floor damage or wing damage, because he clattered the barriers really, really hard after that spin. So it's going to be a very long race for these drivers. There's 32 laps left to go, and none of them are going to be very fun if they've got damage. So yeah. Snoop is pushing Man of Tin at the moment. Snoop is driving without ABS and without traction control, so he's truly pushing. He's Ayrton Sennaing around the track.
That Reblitz has grabbed himself a time penalty. Looks like it may have been through turn 1, unlucky hit. It looks like it's that Xander who's gone around again at the back and broken his front wing. Absolutely, this track is going to test the budget cap. On bonus front wing. So Nico again, he's trying to climb his way through the field. He's jumped up into P5 since the safety car came back in, which is fairly respectable. He's got Panache right in front of him, who he'd been hounding throughout most of this lap. But he's given him a bit of room, whether it be through keeping himself cool or a little mistake here or there, or just Panache showing great form through the middle of the circuit. Regardless, there's a little bit of room between them now to get some breathing space. Let's see what the tyre strategies are looking like, because I've completely overlooked it so far. Majority have gone for the medium, so we've had Snoop and Old Mate James, those are the main ones to look out for, have started out on the hards. Rebelitz has just come out of the pits on a fresh set of softs, which is it's a bit unusual to see at this point in the race.
I think that's just wing damage. I think the drivers are just going to keep changing tyres to make it to the end, because at the moment if you finish you get points, even if you're 10 laps behind. Well, actually, I think you have to be 90% of full race distance, so 39 minus 10% should be 35, lap 35, 36, I think.
Roughly.
So if they can make it to lap 35, 36, then they get points, guaranteed.
Yep.
Fortunately, Xander, as I say that, has met his maker.
No, unfortunately, at Mirabeau, he's gone into the wall. So that is both of our Alpines out of the race. So right now we have
yes.
we've got exactly half the field left, even if we include Weru. Do we? Do we count you?
I was a reserve driver. I count myself as a reserve driver.
Of course. My bad.
Yes. I'll tell you what though, this has been quite a race. The first few laps are very chaotic. I'm just trying to keep up with the race thread to be aware of any changes of the situation. But at the moment, the race is going on as planned. So we'll see. I think I'm going to make a prediction that SV is probably going to win this race. If he finishes the race, he's going to win this race by around 30 seconds. Because he just seems to be driving very cleanly, making no mistakes, and just honestly just doing a Max Verstappen. So it does fit the car, yeah. In the Red Bull, there is a bit of a DRS train forming, and I use DRS train as a very loose term. There's one DRS train, and it doesn't do very much, but there are a few cars following Man of Tin here in P2, Snoop P3, Panache, and Nico P4 and P5. Because Panache is carrying a time penalty. I will check the race director to see what that's for. But these guys are... I think the time penalty was for cutting one of the corners, so that might have been due to an incident or whatever, but it's only 1 3-second penalty, so probably for cutting one of the chicanes. It's going to be hard to overtake here, so Snoop's on the hard tire. At least he's going to have a chance to go longer. When Man of Tin does come into the pits off the medium tire, he will... Snoop is going to have some clean air. He can push and maybe try and overcut on Man of Tin if he has more pace.
Absolutely. Of course, this is one of those races where you can... it's absolutely worth trying to win or lose time. Not lose, try to do that, but you try to gain time in the pits where you can, because it's just so much more preferable, especially around here, to trying to work out a pass on track. And, yeah, interesting to see that sort of alternate strategy going on. What kind of pace difference do you typically see between the two compounds around this track, namely medium and hard? It's a little bit slight coming out of Rascas. That's the main straight.
This track is mostly, mechanical grip. So obviously, yes, you have the big fat wings providing a lot of aerodynamic grip, but most of the grip on this track is mechanical. So I think the mediums will be faster, but not for too long. I think what you want is a durable, consistent race tire, especially for Monaco. So I think the hards are the better race tire. The mediums are good, especially off the start. You could get a chance to jump some positions. Of course, that's pretty much one of the only chances to get a bunch of overtakes. But whoa, Snoop has gone round, and he's been collected by Panache. That is a very, very weird incident. That looked a bit jumpy. But Snoop has lost 2 positions there. I think he lost it on the curb, or maybe got hit in the back by Panache, and has now dropped a few positions. And I'll try and switch the cameras to see if he's got damage. Not at the moment, I don't think so, but I think Panache might have picked up a bit of damage, yeah.
I think so. I did see a bit of carbon fiber flying around. Nico also got very close to it as well. I wonder if he got any damage out of it. Again, I don't see him with any damage. But regardless, that's given him another position and he's not crawling all over the back of Panache. Again, yeah, that looked very unusual. As you say, look at Nico with all the speed in the world coming down the front straight.
Having a look.
Dive.
Ooh.
They come together.
They've definitely picked up damage there. There was a lot of wheel locking, and Nico has given back that position to Panache. But I wouldn't be surprised if they both have damage now, because that was a fairly hard hit into the Armco barrier.
It was. Again, not a lot of... It's one of those corners where no matter how hard you try, it's hard to make two go into one. Yeah, Nico's going to go straight back to what he was doing and trying it everywhere he can. Try to go around had a look around the outside at Mirabeau. That's an unusual one. But it looks like, yeah, Panache is struggling for grip here, most likely because of damage. So Nico may eat him for lunch in the next sequence of corners. We'll see. Coming into the chicane at the end of the back straight, there's no room for him.
Yeah, I think Panache has definitely picked up damage. Look how much slower he is now compared to the previous lap. So there's definitely a lot of front wing missing there, which will make it easier for Nico to at least have a chance to find a way, a clean way this time, instead of what happened on lap 12. And I think that's just come right now. He goes down the inside of Panache and go into the final corner. Panache just... There's a bit of a squeeze there into the barrier, but Panache is going to lose that position to Nico, who's got the DRS, and I think that's going to be hasta la vista from him, because he's not going to have, you know, the grip to try and catch up, especially with that wing damage.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not the cleanest maneuver he would have wanted to make, but it's hard to make a clean maneuver work around here, and that corner as well, it just lends itself to that, because the exit tightens up so much as the arm coat moves back towards the inside of the circuit. So, tricky to make it clean, but regardless, he has P3 now. Just a man of 10 to go, but he's now checked there. He's got the a 3.5 second lead to him now. Perhaps confused. Meanwhile, SV, yep, looks like your prediction is looking fairly reasonable at the minute. His lead is now at 13.5 seconds. Oh, he loses the back end to Raskas.
That's the Carter's goose right there.
That it sure is. Hang on to it, mate. Hang on to it. Get those Red Bull points. You see, it looks like Bevo's just giving room to everybody as he gets himself lapped by the rest of the field. They're not the sort of form he's typically shown in this series. Not what we want to see, but it is what it is.
You reckon he gets bored up there? You think he gets bored just driving in P1, just miles away from everyone else?
Yep, we'll see Bevo's go around again at turn 1. He's going to wait. Snoop, not sure if he's got the room to get through. He just about does now. Bevo shoves himself a bit forward. Windows and Snoop are now going to go side by side up the hill. How clean is this going to be as they come through turn 3, side by side? Just about. Windows thought about having a look in the casino, but no, there wasn't the room for it.
Yeah, he made the right choice to back out there, because that would have been a nasty collision if they came together.
Absolutely, and now is not the time. Oh, he's pushing him through. Windows pushes Snoop around the hairpin. He's not happy with waiting. Again, I doubt Snoop probably still has damage from that spin at just after the hairpin. So if Windows has no damage, then yeah, this will be playing dividends for him right now. As he goes like a look around the outside into Nouvelle. Neither of them make the chicane.
No. I'm not sure if Bassing's watching, because he's going to want to pick up on that. I'm going to pretend I didn't see it.
No, yeah, exactly.
But yes, I didn't see anything. That was perfectly fine. But I think these guys are both driving with some sort of damage, because Snoop has to brake very early, and unfortunately that's made Windows lose his wing. And Windows will be coming into the pits now to, I think, go onto the set of hards that he has waiting for him in the pits and grab a new front wing. I'm not sure if Snoop would have gotten any diffuser or real wing damage from that collision, but at the moment, he's storming on. And I think if he can continue, if he can wait for the cars ahead to maybe make a mistake or go for their pit stop, I think he could be in for a shout at the podium.
I think so as well. I'm afraid I've got my Aston Martin's confused. We've got Nico up into P2, but he was behind Man of 10 earlier, wasn't he?
I think so.
He's found his way through somewhere and I completely missed it. We just saw Panache come in for a fresh set of hards and probably to fix some wing damage we may have seen. So yeah, shake-ups galore. So now Nico has that P2 he got himself here and himself in qualifying. But unfortunately, if he wants to pose a threat to SV, he's likely going to be relying on a safety car. He's got a quarter of a minute or thereabouts to catch up to. Oh, yeah. Tim comes in and grabs himself a penalty for speeding, fortunately.
I think it's going to be an easy checkout here for SV. He's going to do what Max Verstappen did on Sunday in Abu Dhabi. Just start pole, lead most of the race, only drop behind because of pit stops, and just, lead by a huge margin, because I don't think anyone's really challenging him. And I think down there in the Red Bull chat, he's probably just having a chat with the boys, seeing what's going on, talking about the week, because there's not really much for him to do. I know it's Monaco and it's the hardest track on the calendar, but he's not really having to try too hard. He just has to make it the rest of the 23 laps.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, again, it can be tricky though. Would you not say that? Again, he won't be running 110% the whole time, but regardless, how much I don't know. How much do you want to relax around this race before making mistakes again can start to creep back in? Again,
I think what you want is to I think what you want is to you just want to take the edge off your mental, because Monaco can be physically tiring. I know most of the people here are on wheels, so doing all those laps over and over and over again gets quite tiring physically, but mentally it just drains you lap after lap, seeing the same tight walls, trying not to hit anything. So if SV can just sort of relax, calm down, and just drive a few chill practice laps, Tuesday night cruise, then he'll be maybe looking to take a free 25 points and maybe even a fastest lap point if he can get that. Actually, what I think he could do is just pull away, make a big gap, and then if he has a big enough gap towards the end, stop and throw in a set of softs and try to get fastest lap. Because at the moment, if I can have a look, I think fastest lap is with Nico. He's only 200ths faster than SV. So Nico's done a 1:13.90 and SV has done a 1:13.92. SV's coming in now for that, I think, one and only pit stop unless he gets more damage. So not replacing the wing, no damage, hard tires going on. It's a clean stop, no delay on the clutch, and he's going down the pit lane. I think he's going to lose the lead to Nico, but that's, of course, after pit stop. So Nico is going to have to make another stop. I'm interested to see how the car will behave on the cold hard tire. SV is going to rejoin the track well inside of the yellow line and not use the battery, because again, he's not really racing anyone. Doesn't have to undercut, doesn't have to overcut. He's just doing laps for fun.
He sure is, isn't he? What we're seeing in contrast though is it looks like Nico is not relaxing at all. He's pushing lap after lap. We did see him over the last lap or so gain just before SV came into the pits. He pulled back about a second on the gap. So at that rate, he would catch him by the end of the race, but SV would get his head down if that got on his mind. It became a bit of an issue to worry about. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. But again, right now, this is still very much SV's race to lose as it comes to this new set of tyres.
I think that just shows you how important it is to start pole, because that massive pile-up that we saw at the back at turn 1, where it seemed, it was 6 wide at a track that fits basically 1.5 cars. I think if you can avoid all of that and just leave that behind, you're setting yourself up for a good race. If you can, avoid the barriers, avoid contact with other cars. And I know, like I said, SV, it's his race to lose at the moment. He lost time to Nico though, obviously on the cold tires, but with the warm tire, the gap has just shot back up to 11 seconds. It's going to go up probably again to 12 or 13. So I think if SV can get his head down and keep pushing, he might be able to stop towards the end and get the softs on, get fastest lap. And of course, Nico does have a penalty. I will check the race director to see what kind of penalty it is. It looks like it's track limits.
I think you just got that from crossing the pit exit line.
Yes, I think that's 3 warnings, so that's likely not removable. So if SV wants to, he could probably stop, take fastest lap, and rest, knowing that all he has to do is finish within 3 seconds of Nico to take the win.
Absolutely. So, again, taking even more pressure off of SV at the minute, which is not what the likes of Nico can afford to do. Right now, we have Snoopers up in P3 now by virtue of not having stopped yet for his next set of tyres. You'd figure it would be the mediums to do that last dash to the end. Although, I can't remember if he started on the mediums and then switched on to hards after the safety car. I cannot remember. Oh no, he's been on these hards since the very start of the race. My bad. He'll have to jump onto the mediums near the end.
He will. He did tell me that he was going to start on the hards to try and get some cleaner and push when everyone else stops.
Yep. Oh, as we've seen a bit of a shambles go on at the swimming pool section. Bevo spun, and then, as he went to recover himself, had a collision with, I believe that was that Man of Tin. It sure was. Hopefully Man of Tin didn't get any damage out of that. Likewise for Bevo, but yeah, again, Bevo not getting a lot of luck and looking a little bit sloppy at the minute.
Yeah, the fact that he's lapped is not going to go down well in the Aston Martin garage. I think being hit by a lapped car is the worst offense you could commit, short of taking someone out on purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah, not what you want to do. And not the sort of thing you want to get caught live on air. Sorry. Looks like this is our closest battle we have on track at the minute. Between Snoop and Panache. 1.5 seconds between them now, but of course Panache is catching up by virtue of having 13 up in the tyres. SV now kicking off with what we expected to see from him, let's be honest. Setting the fastest lap of the race. Nico comes through as well. Again, slightly slower by about a tenth. So again, they're still pushing each other. There may be 12 seconds between them, but they're not giving each other a break.
No. Yeah, I think when you have such a big gap like that, you're not really racing the person, you're racing the delta. So if you see that delta start to come down lap by lap, then it's a bit demotivating, and you want to start pushing to try and maintain the gap, because in a race like this, in a track like this, it's all about mentality. So if you can maintain a good, healthy mental state, if you can have a good gap behind, you have a good gap ahead, if you don't have damage, if you're just driving within yourself and staying calm, you can have a pretty enjoyable race. So even though that gap is 12 seconds, keeping it at 12 seconds for SV is going to be important to him, because it means he's not losing time to the car behind, sorry.
Exactly, that extra feeling of security.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like, is that Bevo who's gone round again? Yeah, again, unfortunately made a bit of a name of himself tonight. Not the way he would have wanted to do it. Looks like he's about to go a second lap down.
I won't be surprised if Bevo has some sort of bodywork damage, because the way that car is handling in the relatively high speeds, I don't want to say high speed sections of the track, but the relatively high speed corners, I think that car definitely has some sort of diffuser or rear wing damage, which has happened before. I think Bevo got some damage in one of the earlier races this season, and unfortunately he just had to keep driving with it, because you can't retire unless there's a safety car. So as I say that, he just clips the barrier, he loses the end plate. He gets out of the way for Olmay James, who is one position ahead and also one lap ahead. So he's doing the right thing, letting all the cars ahead and just trying to survive.
It comes to a complete stop as he waits for Reblitz to come by, but it looks like Reblitz is going to sit behind and let Nico come through as well. So we got a bit of a nice display of patience from those two. Especially from Bevo, because of course Reblitz lost the back end coming out of the chicane, had to collect himself. But yeah.
I think what's happening is that a lapped car is being lapped by a lapped car who is also being lapped. So that's what we just saw there. We just saw, I think it was Nico lap Reblitz, who was lapping Bevo. So that's I think that combined with the fact that we have 9 drivers after we started with 18, just literally tells you what Monaco is. Monaco is all about survival. There's no racing. This is just survival.
Actually, one thing I want to mention. Look at the gap between SV and Nico. Something happened as SV picked up damage or something like that, because it's tumbling down now. It was 12 seconds 2 laps ago, and now it's gone down to 8. It was 9 seconds when they crossed the line. As SV got damage, he barely pulled it up for the chicane. Cross it. Did he have a
That's
collision?
gonna be interesting. Yeah, I think he might have damage. I'll try and, look at how SV's driving. He has absolutely no battery. It's on 10%. So he might be juicing. Yeah, he's definitely got damage. That delta is just coming out 4 or 5 tenths per corner. So Nico is going to be hunting down SV here to try and get that race win. Even with the time penalty, I think if SV has got severe enough damage, Nico's going to be able to catch up, pass, and build a gap to try and take the win.
By the looks of it, it doesn't look like it's going to be a challenge. It's down to 6.5 seconds already. He gained about 3.5 over the course of that last lap, maybe even more. So I'll probably have him within the next couple of laps.
I think so.
Yeah.
They are both out of battery, so they've both been pushing hard to try and catch up. And again, Nico just cut down a second in the first sector and a half. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes down in sector 3, where that front wing is arguably at its most useful. He's caught up a second and a half already. So I think if my predictions are right, that I've just made up in my head at the moment, SV is going to be in a battle with Nico by lap 26.
Yeah, that brings in another question I have. When you're in a battle with somebody who the car in front of you has front wing damage, is it still difficult to pass around here? As difficult as, of course, it won't be as difficult you'd expect as someone with a full wing, but regardless, it's still tricky to try and find a gap where you can.
Yeah, it is because if the car ahead has wing damage, you sort of have to anticipate the fact that they're going to be braking earlier and, they're going to be slow in corner exits. So if you drive as normal, as you would if you're following a car with no damage, then you're going to be at risk of damaging your own wing. And if you damage your own wing, you're going to have 2 damaged cars. Just, it's like two drunk men trying to fight for the same seat. So it's going to be interesting to see how Nico responds to this. Because SV is clearly much slower, but SV again he's not an idiot. He knows how to drive. I've done some racing against him away from ARL and in 5-lappers and other games, so he knows how to defend. I can tell you that. Nico has hit the barrier of the chicane, which has lost him a bit of time, but I don't think that's gonna matter too much in the end if he can catch up to Nico, and we'll see what happens. But it's Monaco, it's a very narrow track, and SV can make that Red Bull very wide. So let's see what happens.
Absolutely. The gap coming across the line now will just about be within DRS. Still about half a second to go. Actually, in the battle for P4, we've got Windows and Man of Tin who were going side by side, but something's gone wrong there. Man of Tin's now got no front wing and is down in P6, so it looks like there could have been a bit of a bust-up between the two of them. Unfortunately, so again, FIA building up more and more work to do, unfortunately.
Yeah, as the FIA race director, I'm not looking forward to sitting down after this and seeing what tickets have gone through, because we've had 10 cars. Sorry, we have 9 cars. Yes, 9 cars have crashed out, and they've all had time to submit whatever evidence they had, however long the race was. So they're gonna have a bunch of tickets in there waiting for us when we end the stream. Nico is in DRS range of SV, and again, I use the DRS range term very loosely because it doesn't really do much, but they both have no battery. They're both clearly trying to push, and we'll see what happens. We'll see how wide Nico can make that Red Bull, or SV can make that Red Bull.
Absolutely. Would you say, is this one of those tracks where it's very difficult to build up ERS battery, or is it, fairly average? Because this track has a fair few heavy braking zones, but again, you never really build up too much top speed around here.
No, not really, but that's gonna... Sorry to cut you off there, but SV had a bit of a moment coming out of turn 1, and Nico had a look, but chose to back off and wait for a better opportunity, which is, what you want to do. You've got 12 more laps to try and pass, and the car ahead has damage, so it's better to drive to your own strengths and just wait for the next opportunity. But SV is going to be feeling the pressure. I'm going to keep riding on board Nico's cockpit cam to see what he can do. But further back in P5, Snoop is on those new mediums against Windows on those old hard tires. When I think they're going to be in a very similar situation. Of course, Snoop has that massive grip advantage on the newer mediums against Windows on the old hards, but it's going to be very interesting to watch these two cars try and overtake.
I think so. There'll be, as you said, there's going to be a fairly decent pace difference between them. Likewise, what we're seeing up at the front. Bevo getting out of their way nice and neatly. This battle up at the front still looking relatively poised. Let's have a look now. If Nico will get the chance to have a look coming down into turn 1. Looks like he won't. There's still too much of a gap between them. Still 0.4 of a second. Because of course you may have, if you're following another car with a broken front wing, you're still following another car through dirty air through all those medium and slow speed corners, and even if they're not, you know, Silverstone corners, you're still going to feel that dirty air pulling the car outwards.
Yeah, and actually the interesting thing is, compared to last game, the dirty air is actually worse in F1 22. So in real life, even though it might be easier to follow and you know, race, you don't really overheat your tires. You can still have grip in high-speed corners. In the game, it's actually gotten worse. The slipstream has gotten more powerful, and the downforce reduction in said slipstream is also more powerful. So it's harder to follow in the game. I think at Monaco with the maximum wings, if you don't have damage, it shouldn't be too hard. But I think the biggest challenge here is going to be just passing. Because if you go defensive into the chicanes or any of the other corners, it's pretty much nowhere that the car behind can dive on. We saw Verstappen back in the 2019 Monaco Grand Prix just struggle to get past Hamilton, even though Hamilton was on, you know, dead tires. He kept complaining to Bono that his tires are dead. Bevo has just retired from the session. I think there was a spin, but he has blocked the track in Sector 1. Luckily, the leaders can squeeze through without getting damage, and I think that brings Bevo's race to an end there. So we're down to 8 cars out of the 18 we started with. But yeah, back in 2019, Verstappen really struggled to overtake Mercedes, the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton, who was just complaining about his tires for half the race. And Verstappen had more power, more grip, more everything, but there was just nowhere to pass, because if you just position the car correctly, which, you know, isn't too hard driving between walls, then you can keep your position. So if SV can do everything right, then he's probably going to hold his position, unless he gets damage or has to, you know, go off the track for any reason.
Look at that, he's found room up the inside and into the back. The two of them bang wheels, but they just about give each other enough room, and Nico grabs the lead. Zvit goes round.
He's gone round. There was contact there, and SV's just thrown it into reverse into the barrier. So I won't be surprised if he has damage. Maybe there might be front wing damage there, but I think that brings the battle for the lead to an end, because Nico is gone.
Absolutely, that's an instant 8 seconds on him, and of course you've comparatively got no damage, so you figure you just check out from here. But that was certainly a dramatic battle. Had a fair bit of build up, and yeah, definitely climaxed.
I think the new battle to watch is Snoop Loop and Windows. That is quite literally the only battle to watch. Snoop's tires will be going off, but I think he's still going to have the grip advantage to the end.
Absolutely. We've got HK in chat looking to watch his Ferrari mate have a dive. Here we go, we'll see him. Again, so coming across the line now, these two will have 10 laps to go. So we'll see, there's still a fair bit of time, but the laps can wind down quickly around this track, especially when you're in a battle. As we see, Snoop grabs a penalty for crossing over that curb at turn 1, easily done. Fortunate there. So now he's not only got the challenge of trying to get past Windows, he's also got the trouble of trying to pull out a 3-second gap before the end of the race. That certainly won't be easily done.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they race each other. Windows at the moment has significantly more battery. Snoop is on 40% and Windows is on 70%, but he is using a lot of the battery. As I say that, he's just gone down to 50. He's dumped a lot of battery there to maybe protect himself into the chicane. Because Snoop was getting close. I'm trying to see if either of them have damage, but we can't really tell with this camera angles.
They look like they're both look like they're fairly alright. you know, they're having too many troubles getting ripped through these corners or anything like that, looking particularly loose through other areas compared to each other. But yeah, again, just struggling to find room with each other. Snoop did have a proper go around a little bit of a go, I should say, around the outside in a Novell, but there's no room to do it. But yeah, it's definitely close and exemplifies what this track can end up being all about on Sundays. You can't really make a move purely on pace. You can't even rely on a mistake. Looks like that's how Nico got the lead on SV. SV just got a little bit tail happy coming out of Novell, and Nico found the space and sent it up the inside into the back, and it ended up working out for him.
Yeah.
Let's see if Snoop can try something similar. Now, I'm not sure if Nico has just backed off the pace a little bit. I haven't been looking at the lap times, or if SV's has picked up a bit. But the gap between them has only gone up by around about a second since SV's spin. So I want to figure that that's just Nico taking the pressure off himself, because the race is almost certainly in his hands at the minute. Although it can all go pear-shaped, if there's anything that this track can do, it's make things go wrong for us. Windows goes a little bit wide through turn 1. Snoop on the ERS, but he hasn't got much left to play with, and he hasn't really got any room to take it, so he's going to have to sit in behind him and try to carry the corner speed through turn 3, carry a wider line through turn 4, try to cut back to Mirabeau, but it doesn't quite work out for him. Off again.
Yeah. It's pretty difficult to overtake. I wish we had a real-life scenario like we had back in, I think it was it April or May when we had the real-life Monaco Grand Prix. And we had drivers on different tires. We had wets and intermediates in the mix, and Gasly was just overtaking cars everywhere around Monaco, which is not something you see. He overtook Guan Yu Zhou, he overtook Daniel Ricciardo, he overtook a few other cars on the Inter. So I do wish we had that sort of scenario here. I don't think any of the drivers would be happy to do a wet Monaco. I think there's little more that the drivers would want to do less than a wet Monaco.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, have a look now. We'll compare the two ERS that these two cars have. Again, Windows seems to have a little bit more on tap. He's got 30%, and Snoop again not got much to play with. He keeps jabbing at it on these little straights, trying to see if he can find any room for himself. It's not quite presenting himself at the minute. Windows placing the car exactly where it needs to be, although Snoop is right on him here. Again, Windows gets a fantastic exit out of the casino corner. He's done that a fair few times and just pulls out enough of a gap to cover himself into Mirabeau. And we haven't really seen Snoop be able to have a look anywhere until the Novice chicane. He gets to do it here. See, coming on this straight, gets an alright exit, but again, Windows does a fantastic job. Windows not on the ERS, he's obviously very comfortable. Snoop gives up on him as well. He knows he's going to have to wait up a little bit.
But Snoop has to be careful not to hit the back, because we've seen he's got much better exits, but he just has to, pace himself. He has to lift off or brake slightly on some of the corner exits, because he's just carrying so much more speed to the corners that Windows can't do because of the tires and the wing damage. So Snoop is pacing himself well. He's avoided incidents so far. Knowing how the caster curse works, now that I've said that, he's likely to have an incident. But yeah, he's doing well. He's doing everything he can to avoid hitting Windows, who is undeniably much slower than Snoop is at the moment. I think if he can set himself up here, he can get a good switchback, which he does, and he's going to go side by side with Windows into turn 5. There's a bit of touching, but Windows and Snoop are leaving each other room, but Snoop just has to back up because he can't go too wide, but he gets a switchback on Windows, goes for the cutback, and he's just not working because the walls are coming at him, and I think he's going to have to wait for another opportunity, but that just shows you how difficult it is to overtake. But he loses it and spins, hits the wall, and he has crashed out of the Monaco Grand Prix in the tunnel. That was a roller coaster of a lap, I'm not going to lie.
His wheel is not safe. That is going to be catching some fists right now.
Yeah, Binotto is going to have to invest some more money in new wheels soon.
Oh,
We have
no.
HK dead, Snoop's dead. Under the radar, SV made a pit stop to go onto the medium, so maybe he lost his entire front wing, so he's going on to the mediums now. So Nico is looking like Nico is going to get the winner pretty easily,
Mate,
and Snoop's
isn't
going to
he?
be safe in P4.
Oh, Nicholas coming into the pits as well. What's happening here? It looks like, are they coming in for a last lap, for a fastest lap off here? Nico's come in. It looks like, I'm expecting, is he going to put, he's going to put softs on. Panache coming around
Yeah.
the third sector now. SV's gone on to new mediums, perhaps here just to fix a front wing. Looks like Nico's going to try and seal fastest lap on his right at the end as well. Doesn't want SV to steal it from him. He's going to come around now. Is that wasn't Panache, that was Man of Tin unlapping himself.
Yes. Yes.
We're going to see some last-minute shenanigans between our top runners as well. Panache is 6 seconds or so behind, but it doesn't look like they'll affect the result because he's on 22 lap old hards compared to Nico's fresh softs. So last little bit of fun between these guys. We're going to have 7 finishes at this rate. It was such a shame to see because Snoop he was showing so much discipline, and it looks like we cursed him.
Yeah, I was riding on board with him that entire time. That was epic racing. Unfortunately, he just lost it on traction into the tunnel and hit the wall. So my heart aches for him because he was so much faster than the car ahead, and he could have even had SV possibly in his crosshairs for a podium if SV made that stop a bit later. But yeah, that's Monaco. I think Prodigy and Elite are going to be watching this and just absolutely. They're not going to be very happy with what's going on here because we have to go through this tomorrow and Thursday. So I think Monaco is one of the races that people look forward to least just because of how difficult it is. And, if one person makes a mistake and blocks the track, it takes out, 6 people, which is what we saw here. So it's difficult, but again, that's racing. I just think it's interesting that I'm not sure if this is a timing issue, but Olmade James is on. He's still behind Snoopaloop, and Snoopaloop DNF'd on lap 35, so I'm not sure if James was just 2 laps behind or if that's a desync issue, but that will probably be corrected after the race is done. But yeah, Nico, I'm following aboard with him. He's pushing now for fastest lap. He had that gap and he has the tires. And you can really see how much faster the soft tire is compared to 23 lap old hard tires. So
Exactly.
see what he does.
If there's anybody, everybody in the Williams ping pongs, number one thing to say is don't throw it all away. She's in the palm of your hand. You've got 2 laps to go when you cross the line this time. He's half a second up going through this final sector, so we'll likely see him clean up fastest lap. Indeed he does. Only by a 10th over SV, but that's all he needs to do, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think SV is going to improve on the mediums. Unless SV wants to stop.
That was a 12 minute, 1 minute 12.5. Losing game across there, so... I wonder, does he reckon he can have one last quick stab at Panache? Actually, if he can close the gap, he'll grab the position just by virtue of Panache's penalty, won't he? It's currently 4 seconds.
Yeah.
So it looks like he'll still grab P2 out of this.
I didn't even notice that. So yeah, that's well caught. Because yeah, if he catches Panache and doesn't get any more warnings, I'll see how many SV has in the race director. But if he can catch up, so he's got 2 warnings right now, SV. So if he doesn't get that extra warning and can finish within 3 seconds of Panache, then he gets the second step on the podium.
And he could probably start winding it off now. He's within the 3 second window, so he can afford to relax. But is he going to? Oh, I don't think so.
That's not SV. SV loves to push.
Exactly. That just wouldn't make any sense, would it? Just pulled in another half second through that third sector. Again, that is mechanical grip central going through that signature corners.
Yeah. Just imagine what it's like doing this in real life.
Mate,
72 laps. It's probably so tiring.
It's 78, isn't it, for this one? Yeah, for the full length race.
Yes, it is 78. I think I was thinking of a different track. But yes, 39 times 2 is 78, so must be exhausting.
I hear that race distance, that amount of laps around this place, and I think, yeah, no thanks. Someone else can do that. Yeah. Slightly somewhat calming finish now. Nico's got himself on track right now to grab himself another win for this season, and plunge himself right into title contention here. Of course, again, so many quick drivers ended up out of this one, and so many of them ended up out of it so soon. Really not unlike something you really see in this series. But if any track is going to do it, it's this one. But here comes Nico around the final corner. And he's going to take the Monaco Grand Prix. In fact, he's going to slow down, have a little parade across the line. And P1 is his. Right behind
He's had a
Panache and
burnout.
SV. There you go. Didn't quite see the tyre smoke from the replay client. But there goes Panache and SV across the line. SV does grab P2 by virtue of Panache's penalty. So not a bad result at all from SV at all. Again, he would have loved a win. He certainly could have had a win, but unfortunately, something went wrong halfway through the race. I don't know if it was a mistake or a collision with a lapped car or something like that. Not sure. We'll probably find out. But regardless, he takes home a healthy P2. Some more healthy points for Red Bull's team fight. Actually, a fairly good result for Aston Martin with a P3 and a P5. Provisionally, of course, that could change with the FIA's shenanigans. And now we're just now we got windows coming around. Also for the Haas's with a P4 and a P6, that's pretty good.
I'll be honest though, I think the gaps between the drivers are so big that time penalties won't really matter.
Yeah,
because if you finish 50 seconds ahead of the car behind, then oh well, give me 30 seconds. I don't really care that much.
Exactly. You could probably get away with it, but there you go. What a race that was, I'll tell you what.
That was a roller coaster. That was really fun to watch.
It sure was, wasn't it? Again, yeah, shame that we couldn't see that many people finish, but again, it's a track that will take lives, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's try and grab the race results. I'm not sure Almeida James actually did finish where he did, because I think there might have been some desync there with Almeida James. That's going to be because we had an issue with the lobby host, but if you want to grab the race director on stream, I'm not sure if you can do that or if it's going to give you that weird glitch.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I had that glitch last week, but looks like they've given us our blessings this week, so yeah, we'll have a quick look through here. Plenty to look at, but yeah, again, the main thing, the main take home from this one was just all that happened on lap 1. 5 drivers were getting taken out on the exit of turn 1. Not what you want to see, but it is what it is. Ended up giving SV and Nico just a blast away at the front. Granted, they didn't get to keep it by virtue of the safety car coming out, but regardless, yeah, that was a Monaco start if I've ever seen one.
It's the most Monaco race I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, it's patience and consistency that's prevailed today. Even if we did have a fair few penalties to get chucked around. But yeah, let's see. Shall we bring in a couple of drivers for interviews? What do we reckon?
I think they've all wanted to just escape, get away from the game as fast as possible. I think they're going to start practicing Baku soon, because that's the next track on the calendar.
Yeah, nothing winds you down for a straight circuit like another straight circuit. I'll tell you what. And that's a track that can claim a lot of souls as well, especially that infamous castle section. So we'll wait for that. But for now, I reckon we should bring in our provisional race winner and have a chat.
Mr. Nico.
Yeah. Let's say hello. Hello, Nico. How are you out there? Congratulations on the win and the fastest lap to go with it. What did you make of that one? Plenty of chaos going on.
Yeah, there was a lot of chaos. I didn't really think any of it. I was just head down and try to catch SV.
Yeah, and that turned out to work out pretty well for you, didn't it? That little damaged front wing you had at the early part of the race that dumped you back to the bottom of the top 10. What was the sort of mindset going through that? Did you feel confident in trying to make all those moves to climb back up through, or is it the sort of dread of, I've got to try and find space around this really tight, twisty circuit?
I wasn't really confident because I was behind Snoop Loop and Panache, and they kept holding me up. and SV was just running away with it.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. In part, I suppose you could say you got a bit lucky with that SV running into a couple of issues mid race, but regardless, you showed some great pace and made a great move up into the lead as well, into Tabac, which was a pretty good move, side by side
Yeah.
through those sweepers and chicanes. That was some good stuff.
What happened to SV after I overtook it?
Looks like no, just coming through that first part of the swimming pool section, just getting over the curves on the throttle, got a bit squirmy and half spun it. I'm not sure. We'll find out after when we bring him in, if we can bring him in for an interview as well. But regardless, that's again great result. That's great for your championship prospects as well. That's going to bring you right up in the front as well. So you got to be happy with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be thrilled.
There you go. There you go. What are your thoughts heading into Baku next week?
Pain, because I hate street circuits on controller.
Oh yeah, well there you go. So you must have been loving all tonight's race then, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, let's say chin up. Things are going well for you at the minute, so I'd say you got nothing to worry about. Where you got anything you'd like to add?
No, nothing much.
Oh yeah. Well, there you go. Well, I suppose I don't know. Suppose we'll see you next week. I hope you have a good time. Have a good night. Enjoy this victory. And fastest lap to go with it as well. Of course, a cheeky jump into the pits for softs with a few laps to go. And yeah, I'd say have a good time. Enjoy the next 2 nights. See what goes on through Prodigy and Elite. Hey,
Yeah.
worries. Take care.
Yeah. Lads.
There
He
you go.
sounded so tired. He's just
He
done with the
did-
race. He wants to
He
go to
did,
bed.
didn't he? Oh man, I tell you what, it was that would take a lot out of you. Bloody
I'll
oath.
get
There it
SV into
goes.
the chat.
Absolutely. Hello, SV. How are you? Bit of a up and down race.
Yeah. More downs and ups.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't quite catch what happened halfway through that race. What happened out there? Did you get yourself some damage somewhere?
The AI of Manderton, I think it was. He was yeah, he was getting lapped and he just kept blocking. Lost me my 14-second or so lead. And then from there, Nico caught up, but he went for a send that I didn't think was there. So I was going into the corner. I had to turn out of it because he went from at least a car length behind. Unsettled the car, spun the car, got damaged, tried to hold it, but no, there was just no staying up with the orange wing.
Well, there you go. I mean, we've got some more busy work for the FIA to do. Where you must be stoked about that. And
I really am not. I think it's going to be. I think honestly, it's going to be 1 or 2 large incidents that we saw earlier on in the race, and then a few dive bombs and stuff. I'm already hearing word that there's been a few clips of some reckless dive bombs. So, SV, did you have any incidents with anyone? Did someone hit you? Did you hit someone else?
Just Nico, really, and the AI of Manderton. He was getting lapped, but I think it glitched when the Salty left and the lobby glitched. So he while getting lapped, it kept putting him into first, even though he was a lap down. So I had to go for the overtake, and then Nico sent it on the AI straight away. I don't know how he didn't get damage from it. And then same lap, sent it on me into the one where you downshift once and then flat out again. And as he's there, I've had to quickly turn right because I didn't expect it because he was pretty far behind. And doing that, I've clipped the wall, and he's just made me lose the car because he just went for a move that, in my opinion, wasn't there.
well, there you go. It's one of those things, isn't it? Just trying to follow people around and trying to find any bit of room you can around this place. It's infamous for it, but regardless, a P2 is pretty good. It's pretty good in the grand scheme of things. Again, brings you right up in the title fight again. You've shown again fantastic form throughout this season, so I've no doubt that I'm coming into Baku and then the subsequent races after that, like Canada afterward, the next week, you'll be right up there as you have been so far throughout all of this season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Thanks.
I'd say keep your chin up because there's still obviously plenty left to face.
Yeah, well, next race is the only other race that I dislike in this season, so hopefully get some good points at Baku and then just try and run the best weekend for the rest of the races.
Yeah, we've seen that there's a few good tracks coming up. There's Silverstone, there's Belgium,
Oh,
there's
I forgot
Austria. There's a few
Never mind.
legendary tracks. So
After Azerbaijan, then the Silverstone I'm not very good at.
after Azerbaijan, there's Canada, Silverstone, Austria, China, Portugal, Belgium, and Australia. So, in my opinion, all extremely good tracks for racing, except Azerbaijan.
Except
So how are
Birmingham.
you feeling about those ones? No, Silverstone's great. Silverstone is so much fun if you can get maggots right. So,
Yeah,
what are
no.
your thoughts on the upcoming tracks?
Well, honestly, out of all of them, there's only two I don't like, and that's Baku and Silverstone. Because I don't have the pace around them tracks, but yeah, I'm still just disappointed about the AI at Monaco tonight, and just the race in general. I expected more, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think we'll let you go. You clearly want to delete this from your memory. So,
Yeah,
well done on P2. That's an achievement for Monaco. Well done on pole position as well. So, uh, have a good evening. Anything else you want to say, Nick, to SV?
No, I'm not sure. I think you've wrapped it up pretty well. I reckon it's been one hell of a night, a busy night, and even though we didn't quite have a full field on the track for the majority of the race, it was still plenty going on, and plenty of concentration to be had. So I'd say get yourself a good night's sleep. You've earned it, and
yeah.
we'll look forward to seeing you fighting next week and all the subsequent weeks after that as well.
Have a good one, boys.
No worries. Take
Yeah.
care.
I think that brings to an end a very eventful race. I'm going to review the footage afterwards and see what else I might have missed. And also I'll put in the clip of my race start into one of the channels so we can see what actually happened, because that was the most chaotic race start I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that was certainly one to remember. A lot, some for right, some for definitely the wrong sort of reasons, but it was definitely a Monaco race around Monaco. I tell you that.
Yeah, it was.
Um,
I'm looking forward to Baku. We can see some good overtaking, slipstream, fancy setup 0-0, 10-10, 5-2, they're all going to be in the mix, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next week.
yeah, I think so too. Well, I suppose from the two of us, myself and Werrowboy, that's thank you very much for watching, and I hope you had a good time. We certainly did. We had a hectic time, certainly. And Werrow's job is nowhere near half done, so luckily that's not my problem. But
Long night ahead.
yeah, exactly. So um, but yeah, so enjoy doing that, and but yeah, I know we'll see us all coming back swinging for again. Of course, we've got Prodigy League tomorrow night, more Monaco shenanigans in the dark as well, and an Elite on Thursday. So everybody keep your eyes open for those. They'll be just as hectic as this one was, I'm sure. And yeah, so for now, have a great night.
Bye.